Welcome to Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast. This show is for purpose driven Black women ready to lead with faith, fire, power, and presence. Sis, you're not just building a business, you're becoming a woman equipped and anointed to lead one. I'm your host, your girl, leading Lady Dar, founder of the organization Black Women About Business, your business coach, mentor, and author. And I created this space just for you. Every week, we'll tap into mindset, mission, and millions. Yes, you heard that right. Millions, okay? We are tapping into how to get at that bag. This is where we do real talk, strategy, and God led wisdom to help you grow. Now let's build boldly, ladies. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast. I am your host, your girl, leading Lady Dar, founder of the organization Black Woman About Business. I am so happy to be here as always. I know y'all always say she is always happy, always grateful. Yes, I am. But today I have a lovely guest in the studio with me. She is joining me, and I am just happy to have her here for many reasons. Not just selfish reasons, but for you, my business beauties out there. I want y'all to help me welcome this business beauty here. Joining us today is Tesni DeLuna, founder of HeyShoeBabe. Welcome, Tesni. I am going to read your bio. Well, I won't read all of your bio, but your bio is beautiful. It's amazing. It is inspiring. And I am just really elated to have you here. So welcome. Business beauties. Stop what you're doing, pull over, go into another room. I need y'all to listen in and I need y'all to tune in because this is an audio and a video for you. We are bringing you live entertainment, inspiration, empowerment, something that you can use. So I recommend you go grab a pen as always and get your cup of tea, ladies. Get a cup of tea if you need. So joining us today is Tesni DeLuna, founder of Hey Shoe Babe. I love that name.
Thank you.
Hey Shoe Babe, and not just because I love shoes, but Hey Shoe Babe, a custom shoe design company that blends creativity, entrepreneurship, and personal expression into wearable works of art. I've seen your work, honey. I've seen it. Originally from Cardiff, Wales. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep, Cardiff, yep.
Cardiff, Wales. Tesni's journey is one of passion, perseverance, and purpose. From competing in rugby, cross country, swimming, triathlon, always get that mixed up, and collegiate athletics to earning a degree in entrepreneurship. She has consistently demonstrated, y'all, the discipline, the grit, and determination that it takes to succeed both in and off the field. Today, she combines her love for art and athletics as a custom shoe artist and entrepreneur, helping clients bring their vision to life through unique, handcrafted designs. Her story is a powerful reminder that our gifts and our talents and experiences often work together to create opportunities we never imagined. So, in today's conversation, we'll discuss entrepreneurship, creativity, overcoming challenges, the lessons sports taught her about business, y'all. Yes. And how she turned her passion into a thriving brand. Please help me welcome founder, artist, athlete, and entrepreneur, Tesni DeLuna of Hey Shoe Babe. Hey Shoe Babe, Tesni, welcome to Build
Thank you.
Her. Welcome. I am so happy to have you here. Please make yourself at home, although you are miles away. But you are in our studio here on the Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast. And I just love your journey. I love your story. So if you see me leaning in, it's because, too, I don't have my headset on and I don't want to miss anything. Okay. So we are going to dive right on in here. I'd like to ask you to tell us about Tesni. Tell us about Tesni before Hey Shoe Babe. Who were you and what was life like for you and also as an athlete?
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of everything. So I grew up in Wales, like you mentioned, but we moved to America when I was about 13. So I went and did 1 year of middle school in America and then high school, which was such a culture shock. But I think it was actually really good because I got kind of comfortable with big changes and being like, okay, you can always figure it out. You can make new friends. You can learn to talk to anybody. You can walk into a room not knowing anybody and be like, okay, I'm going to have to make some friends here. I can do this. So I think it was one of the best things ever. But yeah, we moved to Connecticut, so quite far from where I am now in Texas. And I was there for high school, college, and then moved to Texas during COVID. So have lived kind of all over, but sports and art were the two kind of things that I followed me everywhere. But also my dad always said, if you have a pair of rugby boots, you have 15 friends wherever you go, because there's he was like, wherever you go, there will be a club, probably more so true in Britain than in America, but there'll be a club and then you just have to join it and you will make 15 friends instantly. And so for me, that was kind of how sports and art were for me. Like wherever I went, I was like, okay, let me find an art studio, let me find a sports team, and I'll just meet people that way. And yeah, it's just kind of been really important to me in my journey. So that's a little bit.
I love that. I love
Thank
what
you.
your dad said about the boots and having 15 friends anywhere. I love your accent as well. Now, did you
Thanks.
always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I think it's one of those things that I didn't know because I probably didn't know what it was. But as soon as it was brought to me, like by, I think it was a high school guidance counselor, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's what I want to do. Because both my parents are science brain people. My brothers are like math, science, really analytical people. And I was always like, I don't really fit in. I'm
Right.
very creative. I'm very expressive and passionate, and I like a lot of different things. But I don't do particularly well in math and science subjects. I tend to do better in the art classes and the gym class and that sort of thing. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what I wanted to go to college for. And then when I heard that there was an entrepreneurship program, that's when I had this kind of light bulb moment of, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to do something where I get to be this creative force and I get to come up with a business idea and rather than working for someone else. So it kind of just evolved, I think, naturally from the subjects I was interested in. And yeah, as soon as I found out that that was a program, I went in and put it as my major.
Now, when I wrote this question down, I wrote, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur or did entrepreneurship find you? So that's the answer. Entrepreneurship found you, but it found you right where you were. And it found you in a place where, like you said, you didn't feel that you fit in, or not that you didn't fit in, but math and science just wasn't your thing. But
Hmm.
you had that passion, you had that creativity, and you didn't stop what you thought you didn't have with math or science. You didn't just stop there. I am surprised that, and I guess it's been some years since I've been out of high school, but I'm grateful and I'm surprised that your school counselor brought entrepreneurship to you. And that's a wonderful thing because that's some of the things that we did not have access to or we weren't privy to and when I was in high school. So that's a great thing. So it was actually brought to you. And being brought to you meant it's almost like you were a magnet because it was
Mm,
already in you and it was brought
yeah.
to you. So wow, that's great. That's great. So have you been given a chance to ever go back to a high school and just share the importance of, following your heart, your passion and, maybe talking to students in a high school? Have you had the experience in doing that? And would you?
So I have, but in a different, I did it with sports. Through my college rugby program, we had like a chance to speak to high school girls, high school students who were athletes and wanted to go to college. So I went back and spoke to different high school students about it from that perspective, from a sports perspective on how great sports are for women and for finding your passion and all these different things. But I haven't actually in terms of just I think because it took me quite a while to, even within entrepreneurship, there was so many different things. I mean, you could have a bakery, you could have an app, you could have like, there's such a range of things that it wasn't until maybe the last like 5 years that finally all those pieces clicked. So I think had I tried going back to help students 5+ years ago, I probably wouldn't have been very helpful because I was probably a bit scattered. Whereas I think now you've like inspired me to go find some schools to talk at, because now I feel like once things clicked, it was like, okay, now everything kind of makes sense. And I feel like my insight is maybe a bit more helpful than it would have been 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Of course, yes. And that's the greatest thing about entrepreneurship. It's like we don't always have it figured out, but once you say yes and once you decide that this is what I want to do, and even if you realize like this is a gift, like this is a real talent that I have, and you decide to start on this journey as an entrepreneur, doors begin to open up to you. And not only do doors open up to you, you'll start to see the connection in the puzzle pieces. So now, like you said, 5 years later, you've learned more and you understand it a little bit better. When you go back, because I'm sure you are, when you go back, it's going to be so rewarding because I had that experience most recently. And when I say it was almost as if someone purchased a product for me like $1 million or
Oh,
something,
wow.
giving back to other high school students, and I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. So, yeah, make sure you put that on your list of things to do because
Yeah.
it not only will bless others, but it will bless you as well.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. What inspired you to start creating custom shoes? Now, I know the I listened to someone else's podcast, and it was my intention to make mention of that podcast. I just can't remember, but I heard this
Uh,
story. If you could just
yeah.
share your story as to how you got started.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those kind of funny ways that the universe works kind of things, because I'd always been really interested in art. But I think because I had this entrepreneurship thing where I wanted to start lots of different businesses, I didn't want to just kind of have one thing and do it forever. Like throughout high school and college, I would be selling cupcakes in the library, during exam week. And then I would be making some sort of like clay sculptures and selling those. And then I was decorating grad caps. And it was always sort of these like side hustles and things that involved art, but I would do them for maybe a few months and then I would move on to the next thing. So I had this sort of artistic streak throughout high school, college. And then when I moved to Texas, I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. It was the pandemic. So I'd lost my job in Connecticut and I was trying to figure out what my next move was going to be. And I had just gone into a fitness studio and asked for a front desk job because like I need to pay my rent while I figure out what my next step is. So they gave me that job and it was like 5 a.m. I'd signed everyone into class and I was like, well, it's too early to call people to talk to them about membership. So I'm just going to do a little bit of sketching, make the most of my time and not just sit here doing nothing. And a member came out and he saw my like sketch pad and he was like, are you an artist? And I was like, yeah, I guess kind of. And he said that he'd bought these shoes for his daughter and I think she would have been like 12, 13 or so. And he was like, she's just got to this age where she's really picky. She said they're too plain. Can I pay you to paint them? And I think he was like, I'll give you $50 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So I went home, Googled, how do you paint shoes? What materials do you need? Got the paints. And then I painted that first pair and I was hooked. I was like, whoa, this is really fun. And it had the elements I liked from all my previous kind of artistic side hustles paths, but each pair was different. So I think that's why I haven't burned out from it, because I'm working with people a ton. Each pair of shoes is like a completely new thing. And so it feels like very fresh and exciting each time. So it kind of just felt like all of those little paths that felt like they didn't maybe go somewhere finally all clicked. And then now I'm like, okay, yeah, this is my thing. So that was
Wow.
about 5 years ago now.
That's this
It's
excuse
long.
me. Business beauties out there, listen, y'all tuned in. This is the exact story that I heard, and Imma tell you that this story really stood out to me because she decided and it's funny because I work a 9 to 5, and I allow my 9 to 5 to fund my business. And at times when it's quiet, it's easy to just watch a YouTube video or it's easy to scroll on Instagram, but yet I utilize that time to do something that will inspire me as well as inspire others. And I hope more business beauties out there, I hope you ladies out there hear that when you have that downtime, doesn't always mean you got to pick up that phone and get to scrolling. It does not mean that. Because you see
Mhm.
what happened. She decided to utilize that time. It was probably something where she thought she was just not wasting time, but just using time until it was time for her to make a few phone calls to call her clients. Well, I will say here, one of my questions was, your work is highly creative and customized. How do you stay inspired while continuing to meet client expectations? Now, I'm going to let you answer that. But what I kind of heard and what you just said was that you got excited and just being able to be so creative with it. And each design can be different. So it's almost like it's not like the same repetition, boring, old same design over and over again. You get a chance to express yourself. Now, I'm sure when it's customized, some people may come and ask for a specific design, but yet it still also gives you that free will and that free range to be able to put your unique spin on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's nice about it is I definitely get a range of people knowing like pretty detailed what they like to kind of, I have no idea. But even the people that come in with a pretty specific vision, I still make the first round of sketches that has 3 to 5 different options based off of that. And what's really fun about it is they almost always come in with like, I think I want this. And I go, okay, let me just sketch that up for you, show you some options. And they end up picking a different one,
Okay.
which is nice because I will always want to be respectful of other artists' work. That if someone's come to me with a shoe from that someone else has made, I would never kind of be like, okay, I'll just copy that because that was that artist's work. And so it's fun being able to take someone's inspiration, but then create something completely new out of it. But that like collaborative part of it is what keeps it so fun and fresh because it's not just me having to like supply all this kind of creative brain power. I get to bounce ideas off of them and see what
Okay.
they're interested in. So yeah, it keeps it really fun and fresh, I think.
I love that. That's great to hear. I'm telling you, ladies, entrepreneurship is really a way for us to express ourselves, especially, I mean, some people are on this journey as an entrepreneur, and in the beginning, you don't always see the profit, but when it's a passion, you see your work. I mean, take for instance, if it's this mug that I have and I've created this, and I didn't, I'm just saying if I did, I might not be able to see the financial profit of it, but my profit comes in also because I'm seeing the creativity of my work. And your artwork is amazing. Do you have a few shoes or samples that you can just kind of lift up and show?
I mean, I'm working on, I can grab them if you want, a pair that I've
Oh,
got at the
yes,
moment.
yes, yes.
Or I can, there's some in the other room if you don't mind me being gone for like 2 seconds, I can go
There
grab
you
them.
go. Yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm in my like
I'm gonna
shorts.
keep talking, but I just want to encourage those of you who are tuned in. This is a prime time, y'all, in our lives when we can choose to sit in front of a TV that entertains us, or we can take the opportunity when we have the time to pour into ourselves. And pouring into ourselves also means working on a vision, working on a dream, mastering something that you may be good at, or even taking it up a
Okay.
notch, mastering it, perfecting it, and now I'm putting it out here that it can be a sort of value or sort of pleasure to others. So, what do you have for us, Tesni?
Okay, so the funny thing is that I paint them and then I send them out. So people always expect me to have a really good collection of shoes, and I'm always like, I have the least impressive closet because I'm doing them for other people. But my daughter is the beneficiary of a lot of my work. So like these ones
Oh,
are very fun. It's based on her favorite children's book. So
oh,
I like ones that kind of go together, but they're not matching. So
oh.
that's that
Now
pair.
they do match though, right? Or wait,
They're
are they
like different patterns,
twice?
but the same colors. So it's kind of a little different. This was based on the Places You'll Go book, the Dr. Seuss book.
Oh my
So
god, the baby
these ones,
shoes are so super cute.
those ones, and this is
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they sort of look mid process. This is a pair I'm working on at the moment, so you can see they look a little bit crazy. But I'll send you a photo at the end, so it's kind of fun to see the transformation.
Okay, awesome. Listen, at what moment did you realize this could become a real business and not just a creative project or a creative hobby? Like, at what moment what was that defining moment for you?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think the first pair I made for this man and his daughter, I really liked doing it. I was like, this could be a really fun hobby for me. The thing, probably the moment that it first kind of clicked of, oh, but other people would be interested in this was I then, after I'd made that pair, I messaged my mum because my brother was getting married later that year. And I said, hey, I just made this pair of sneakers for this guy. I think I might make myself a pair of sneakers to wear at the after party. If I did that, would you want a pair to match? And my mum, who's always down for anything, was like, yes, please. I'll buy the shoes. You paint them. And so when then one of the other bridesmaids, I had said, hey, I'm going to do this for my mum. Do you want one? And she was like, yes, 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 yes. So at that point, then, and we wore them to the wedding, and other people were like, it wasn't to the after party, not to the main wedding, but everyone was like, those are really fun. And so I think just seeing other people's interest of being like, where can I get them? Sometimes it seems like you should have this grand idea and know at the beginning it's a business. And sometimes you just get it from other people's reception to it and realizing like, oh, people would buy this. People would pay for this. And so let me keep going. So then I just kind of did more and more pairs. And at the beginning I was, charging so little for them because I really just needed the practice. And, I'd be like, if you just pay for the shoe itself, I'll do something fun to it. And then as my skills got stronger, I felt more confident in my prices and being like, okay, now I think I can charge this much. So I definitely didn't come out of the gate charging hundreds of dollars. It really was as my skills improved, I felt like I could then start charging more and more.
Of course, of course. Yeah, that's a great story. And your defining moment was because of your yes. Your
Hmm.
yes, was like, you got excited, you did the baby shoe, the young child's shoes, and then you had this idea. And I love how you said mom is always down for everything. Hey, that's me sometimes because my oldest daughter is about, mom, you want to do? And I'd be like, yeah, I used to be like, yeah, but now it's like, yeah. So that defining moment made you say, it sparked something in you and you were like, okay, I'm going to do this and wear this. You know, then you shared it with your mom. You also shared it with was it your sister-in-law, did you say?
Yeah, yeah. It was my sister-in-law.
So you shared it with her and now y'all at the after party, you're wearing your product. You wearing not just your product, but your talent. You're wearing it, your gift, you're wearing it, and people are seeing it. But you did not shy down from that. You said, yes, this is what I do. And we have to become so more comfortable to share with others, whether it's a item that we're wearing or something we created that people can use. We have to become more excited and confident about what we've created and say, yes, this is what I do. Yes. Oh, would
Yeah.
you like a pair? Oh, yes. And I was sharing that on my podcast episode on yesterday, and that was that we have to build up that confidence. Would you say you always had that confidence, or did it just come with the fact that people were, oh my God, I like that. Those are fun. Those are cool. Did that bring
Yeah.
up confidence, or would you say you already had it?
I think a large part of it was because of my parents. They just, and they're not, neither of them would describe themselves as artistic people, but they were always so encouraging of me and they were always so proud of me. And there was like maybe split seconds in my childhood where I was coming home with like a C on a math test and both my brothers had A's. And I think had my parents not encouraged me, that could have been a moment where my confidence was dipping. But instead they were like, you're so good at this and this. And look, the C is so much better than the C minus you got last time. And they really were so encouraging. And anytime I made something like it was framed and on a wall, and even as so yeah, that has always built my confidence. Sports has been huge for that too, because I excelled in that. And so having these areas where I could get a lot of wins was really important in building that confidence. And instead of focusing on what I couldn't do, I was getting a lot of affirmation and things I could do. But even as an adult, like I said to my dad, probably a few months ago now, I said, how do you, like, when people ask what your kids do, what do you say about me? Because do you say I paint shoes? Do you say I'm a mom? Do you say I'm a marketing person? Like, how do you describe it? And he said to me, he's like, I say you're the founder of a like global business. I say you're a CEO. Like he used the most impressive terms like CEO, founder. And that really gave me that confidence of, oh yeah, he doesn't just say, oh, she paints shoes. He says like, she's the founder. She has a business.
Wow, look at that. Well, thank you, mom. Thank you, dad. I love
Yeah.
that. But I have so many things to say about that. But in reading your bio, and you share here, you are today. You are who you are today. You would not say self-made, but the way you phrase this really touched me because so many people will say I, me. And I'm going to read to you part of what she says here when it comes to that. Oh, she loves to be called Tess, and, I'm forever abbreviating someone's name. So Tess says, "I don't hide the fact that my parents choose" wait a minute, I'm sorry. Let me see. I don't hide the fact that my parents drove me to every single sports practice or art class. My brothers were the first people to order shoes from me, and I am who I am today because of the incredible people that poured their service to all those who believed in me. I mean, that says a lot right there. And that's why I'm so passionate about paying it forward and helping as many young women, athletes, artists, and people as I can. Y'all. And I didn't read it all, but that just goes to show she's giving others the praise. She's not saying it's me, it's I did all of this. It is because of those who she had support her. And that to me, that says a lot. I have questions and I could just go on and on and on. But we do think we're grateful for those who we have in our lives that support us and encourage us. But you know something? When I'm doing my coaching, I am going to encourage my clients to ask a family member or whoever is closest to them, how do they describe her? In fact, I'm going to ask my children, what do you say your mom do? Like, who is your mom? Like, so,
Yeah.
I mean, Tesney, I believe the audience is really enjoying this interview because that is something I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs should really ask. And I don't care if they're in the game for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's a question that we should really ask because your creativity has you where you are. Your yes does. But your creativity in and of itself have you here as the founder of Hey Babe. Hey Babe. I love it. What would you say to a woman who has a talent but doesn't yet see it as a business opportunity?
I think that is honestly so common. And I actually think that happens a lot more with women because I think women are so used to being hardworking and
Right.
creative and might not always feel like they have the same resources or maybe the confidence to make it a business. But I think you just got to do it. It sounds silly, but if you just start, my business came out of saying yes to an opportunity, but then also just kind of continuing to say yes until I got better because the shoes I'm making now, I would never have been able to make at the beginning. And so if I had tried to start the business I have now 5 years ago, it wouldn't have worked because I wouldn't have been able to back up the prices I was asking for. I wouldn't have been able to back up, like, I can teach a class because my skills wouldn't have been there. So I had to kind of just keep doing things, keep saying yes. And so being able to just continue pursuing it until it becomes a business, I think is really important. And I remember when I graduated college, the commencement speaker said, just follow your passion, just follow your passion. And I think that's so true. But I also think that to be realistic, like, things are expensive now. And I think being able to be like, I'm going to work this other job and I'm not going to give up on this dream. But, you don't have to go all in immediately. Sometimes it can be sort of like, if I'm not going in 100% right now, it means I don't believe myself. And I could not disagree with that. I think that, if you have to, like, I worked at that gym so I could cover my rent so that I could afford the materials to paint the shoes. Like, they wouldn't have happened if I didn't have a job. So I just think keep going at it, keep pursuing it until it's become big enough that you call it a business. But don't feel like if you're not willing to go in 1,000% on day one, that means it's not a valid business idea.
Y'all hear that, T, y'all? Y'all hear it? Tess, you just answered another question of mine because my next question was, what advice would you give someone who is afraid to put their work out into the world and just do it? And people
Yeah.
say just do it when people think, okay, well, here, just do it. But okay, how can I just do it if I don't have the courage?
Hmm.
What would
Hmm.
you say to someone who is talented? And there are some people who I know like to do things behind the scenes. They don't want to be in the forefront. So you can still be a founder. You can still run a business, be an entrepreneur, and be behind the scenes. You see? But what would you
Hmm.
say to a woman who has talent and you know she has talent, but from your journey as an entrepreneur, what would you say to her and knowing she want to change her life? She wants something different. She wants something more. She may be someone who work a 9 to 5 or she's just tired of the rat race. She's a single mom and she's like, "Oh my God, this just can't be it." What would you say to her if she's saying, "I just don't have the courage"?
I mean, I think the courage is that small first step. It's not the really, really big one. The courage is not saying like, I'm unhappy or I don't love where I'm at right now, so I have to quit my job and find a business idea and do it all at once. The courage is like, I'm going to do one small thing today. I'm going to put out one design. I'm going to go out and talk to one person about the business. Like the courage is actually a series of small steps and not one huge one. It's the courage to like continue making those little ones and kind of continuing, like when it gets hard, the courage is that part, like saying, okay, I haven't quite figured out yet, or somebody didn't like my design and now I have to be really brave and continue to put it out or get their feedback on why they didn't. Like all of those little things are the courageous things, really, in my opinion.
Mm. That
So
is that is true. That answer, Tess. Thank you. I love that answer. I spoke about that last night as I was putting out the podcast episode. Is when people think of courage, I don't have the courage to do this, but if you just take that one step, and like I said, it doesn't have to be you taking 10 steps today. It could just be that one step. Make the phone call, create the flyer, make the post, just that one step.
totally, yeah. And I think like the other thing would be if you're nervous about putting something out there because you don't think it's good enough. I look back at my early pairs of shoes. I used to decorate cakes. I look back at the early cakes I made and I'm like, oh my goodness, I would never make that today. But that's because I've gotten so much better. So it's like everybody's going to look back. Like if you think it doesn't look great now, hey, in 10 years when you look back, you'll be like, wow, I got so much better than that. And it's like, that's actually a beautiful thing. Like looking back and being like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. It just shows how much better you got. Like, how great is that?
It really is. Now, listen, y'all business beauties out there, don't take it from me because I think it was episode from back in September. I said, when I look back on some of the YouTube videos I did, some of the, t-shirts and things that I've created, I was like, oh my God, I was almost embarrassed. But what I would say is I used that as fuel to keep going because what it showed me was that that's where you were.
Mhm.
Now this is where you are. And the growth, the process in that growth, baby. Ooh, I grew up.
Yeah. And that's so cool. Like how cool is it to be able to look back and be like, wow, this was my best at this point in time. And I'm so proud of that. And my best has gotten even better. Like that's awesome.
As Tess said, my best has gotten even better. Y'all hear that? Now, Tess, I have one more question for you.
Uh,
And this, I think, is going to become the signature of this Build Her, Be Her podcast. I am and have been asking women that I've been meeting, who do you or who did you have to become to sustain what you're building and where you are now? Like, who did you have to become? And I know it's different for a lot of us. Some of us had to be that courageous person, but who did you, as the founder of Hey Shoe Babe, who did you have to become?
that is such a good question. I've never been asked that. So I always like it when I'm like, oh, I have never been asked that before. But I think the things I was naturally creative and outgoing and chatty and all those things, but I had to become a person that was confident enough to talk to somebody about it without feeling pushy. I think that was like a really key part for me was I had that confidence in many different areas and being outgoing and can talk to anybody, but I didn't always have that confidence to be like, if you're talking about this, people will think it's impressive and will be interested and they won't think you're being like pushy. That's why I was never very good at sales because I felt like I could talk to someone about a product, but then the second I'd have to try and get them to buy it, it would feel really unnatural and
Right.
really, yeah, I'd feel like, oh, I can't do this. And that for me was like the big difference of like, I had to get better at being like, no, you're not pushy. You're not, what you're offering is not a snake oil product. It's something that you know is really good. You know that you're good at this and you know that people want it. So you just have to build your confidence in that area. And I definitely think that, I think sometimes it feels like you're confident or you're not. And sometimes it can be, I'm confident in these 10 areas and I'm not confident in these 5 areas. And that was me. It was like I had so much confidence in some areas and so lacking in other ones that I had to become more well-rounded and more confident in those weaker areas. And I couldn't just continue to be like, oh, I just won't do that part of it. I had to kind of say, no, if you want to build this, you can't just, you have to promote yourself. You have to be comfortable talking about this. You have to ask for the sale, as they say. And so that was definitely part of it, was realizing overconfidence in these areas would not compensate for a lack of confidence in the others. And I think acknowledging that was really crucial.
Great answer. Great answer. You also have to believe in your product. So that's the thing. And if we know that we're creating value, I think that to me, it's not always easy and it doesn't always happen overnight. But when you see that your product may have brought joy to someone or made someone so excited, or with me, maybe had a transformation take place, that does help build up that confidence. But you said you had to become more well rounded. I think you are very well rounded, grounded, and I would say keep doing what you're doing. I know that you have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship, but sometimes we can have the diplomas, the degrees, but your peace, your confidence, it speaks volumes. It really speaks volumes. And I'm grateful to have you here. Is there anything you would like to share with our audience? Anything you'd like, what we don't know about you? Would you like to share anything that we don't know about you that, you know, where can people find you? Let's just give them everything.
Yeah. Well, so on the find me part, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok under HeyShoeBabe. My website's the same, HeyShoeBabe.com, so nice and easy. My email is hello@HeyShoeBabe.com if you have questions or anything like that. As far as something to share that I haven't really shared before, I do think that I had a daughter a little over a year ago. And that for me was also another kind of transformation aspect. I am always learning that you're never done growing, but there was kind of like the different version of me at each stage. And that for me was a really groundbreaking moment of looking at her and being like, okay, I want you to have all the confidence in the world. I want you to feel strong and powerful and that you can do anything. And I can't fill from an empty cup. If there's areas that I still haven't figured out totally, I need to be able to do that too. And so that's definitely given me the confidence as well to kind of be like, okay, if I'm teaching her to be brave, then I got to make sure I'm doing that too. If I'm teaching her to love her body and how many things it can do and how many sports it can play, and then I have to continue doing that. I think my sports stuff has ebbed and flowed a little after college. It was really, really intense. And I had a few years of really intense triathlon competing. And then I slowed down a bit. And I think having a child made me be like, okay, you want to not just tell her you used to be a really good athlete, you want her to see that. So there's definitely, that's been a huge transformation in my life. Also with my entrepreneurship stuff is just having a whole new perspective since having her as well.
Wow. Out of some of the things that I have here, what I like is, Tesni, you could have chosen just to do or be an athlete, but you chose both.
Mhm.
You chose both. And I see that you being an athlete and how that those athletic skills can come over into the entrepreneurial journey. I've seen that in your work. I'm glad that you decided to be both. Following your dreams as an athlete and really pouring into yourself to build that confidence, and to be able to, as you say, let me quote your words, become more well-rounded as a person, as a woman, as a mother, a wife, and as an entrepreneur, as a founder. Your story says a lot. I thank you for coming on the Build Her, Be Her Black Woman About Business podcast and sharing your story, because what I've learned, and I'm hoping that my audience, our audiences, yours as well as mine, really understand what your story says. And what it says to me is you can be competitive and creative. You don't have to choose. You don't have to choose. You can be competitive and creative. You can be an athlete and an artist. You can have multiple gifts and build a business from them. I just said that last night. I was talking about that, you know. So I'm grateful to have you here. I sure would love to have you back again. Is there anything, any last words of encouragement, anything you would like to say to the audience, to anyone that's tuned in?
Well, honestly, kind of a good one to end on is that this happened today because I was like, I'm just going to reach out to her. And you were like, absolutely. We'd never met before. We're in completely different states. Like, I just kind of was like, I like her podcast. Let me just see. And so it took me taking that little kind of opportunity, and it took someone on the receiving end, you saying, absolutely, let's make this work. And I think for other women listening, like we're so supportive of each other. Like, let's keep doing that, reach out to other women, ask for mentorships, ask, for opportunities to chat with them. Cause I've learned so much from talking to you. And I think that, and listening to your show, and I think that that's a great lesson to leave on is if you're listening to this and someone out there is kind of thinking, I don't know what I want to do next. Like, look for other women around you, many states away as you are, and just kind of reach out, take a risk. Because I've found that the women I reach out to tend to be so supportive and want to help and want to be there for each other. So Let's keep doing that.
Let's keep doing it. And listen, you are a part of the family, honey. We here at the Build Her, Be Her Black Women About Business podcast, we love you. And we're so excited to be able to have this connection with you. We would definitely love to have you back on. And again, please share with our listening audience where they can follow you, where they can find you. Please visit her website because it's inspiring. You get a chance to see her journey, her work, and make a purchase because I'm telling you, I know my grandson I have to show him the website. So definitely, Tesni, we love you here on the podcast. We're so grateful that you took time out of your schedule. We want to just say thank you for reaching out to us. Thank you. And so we just are so grateful to have you here. And I pray that God continues to bless the work of your hands, your creativity. You know, you are inspiring others out there. Keep at it, honey. Keep at it. So again, where can they find you and follow you and subscribe to your community?
So Hey Shoe Babe is gonna be the one for Instagram, TikTok, also YouTube. I forgot to mention that one. And then HeyShoeBabe.com. Those are kind of my main things. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been really great. It's felt like I'm so energized. I feel like I had 5 coffees just from talking about this stuff with you. So this is great. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Just stay tuned. Thank you so much. And listen, y'all, please follow Testy. You will be truly, I'm sure you enjoyed this interview. This is not even an interview, it's just really a conversation. But she poured in to us and poured on her love. So we are so grateful. So, yes, please follow her. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Build Her, Be Her Black Women About Business podcast. Please do not forget to follow us on Instagram under Black Women About Business as well as on YouTube. It is your host, your girl, Leading Lady Dar. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.